Moscow doesn't ask for your attention, it commands it. As your plane descends, you don't just see a city, you see an empire made visible. The spires of the Kremlin glint under winter skies, while modern glass towers stretch upward in quiet defiance of time. The Moscow River winds through a metropolis that feels sculpted from ambition. Gilded domes on one side, Lamborghini showrooms on the other. With nearly 19 million people, this is the beating heart of the largest country on earth. But it doesn't scream, it doesn't beg. Moscow simply exists in grand contradiction, where bitter cold meets burning luxury, and where every stone holds the weight of centuries. This is not a city of half measures. The architecture, the politics, the parties, the people, everything is deliberate, powerful, and layered. The deeper you go, the more you realize Moscow is both mirror and mirage, reflecting what Russia wants the world to see while concealing what it feels. And then, amid this towering grandeur, you notice something else, an elegance walking beside you. Poised, self-assured, striking. A woman dressed with grace in the snow, not for you, but for herself. In Moscow, beauty is everywhere, not an accessory, but a rhythm. And so we begin not with politics or power, but with presence. The kind of presence that turns heads, softens silence, and starts a conversation without a word. City of women, city of wonder. You've heard the stereotypes. The whispers about Russian women, tall, fair-skinned, luminous, blue or green eyes that catch light like glass, blonde waves cascading beneath fur-lined coats. But in Moscow, it's not a myth. It's a norm. Beauty here doesn't feel extraordinary. It feels expected, but it's never just about looks. Russian women carry themselves with a kind of inherited strength. Decades of cultural pride, historical resilience, and artistic heritage have shaped this identity. From the precision of ballet to the pageantry of national contests, beauty here is performance, but it's also preservation. It's tradition wrapped in silk and steel. Fashion isn't decoration, it's armor. Women dress not to impress, but to affirm. Heels in snow, hair done for the supermarket. Elegance is every day, because self-respect isn't reserved for special occasions. And confidence? That's the silent language spoken on every street. But where does admiration become objectification? That's the line the world often crosses when looking in from outside. Because while beauty is revered here, it's also deeply personal. Russian women know the power of their image, but they define it, not you. In Moscow, beauty doesn't scream. It walks past you without needing permission. It owns space, it invites curiosity, but doesn't ask for validation. And if you're lucky enough to be let in, even just for a glance, you'll know you've seen something rare. But in a city built on spectacle, beauty is only one part of the equation. The lifestyle that surrounds it, that's where things get even more interesting. The Moscow lifestyle, elegance in every step. In most cities, luxury is a destination. In Moscow, it's the backdrop. Step out for coffee, and you might catch a woman in designer heels, a tailored coat draped just right, taking a selfie with a cathedral behind her. But this isn't vanity, it's ritual. It's the culture of looking among and feeling composed, no matter where you are. Parks become catwalks. Riverbanks turn into photo studios. You don't need to book a shoot. The city gives you light, geometry, and mood for free. Street photographers roam daily, offering on-the-spot glamour sessions. And the locals? They embrace it, not because they need the attention, but because they value the art of presentation. This isn't performance, it's pride. In a country with a complicated past and an uncertain present, the body becomes a canvas of control. Style is how Russians reclaim identity. Bold lipstick, sharp coats, elegance even in the harshest snow. Moscow's streets echo with this confidence. You feel it in the way people walk, not fast, not slow, but with intention. As if every step matters. And in a way it does, because in a place where beauty is currency, Elegance is power. It's not about showing off. It's about showing up for life, for self, for the city that expects nothing less. But Moscow doesn't just look rich. It is. And when beauty meets wealth, what follows is nothing short of spectacle. Luxury and class. When money meets ice. It's midnight in Moscow and the city is glowing, not from streetlights, but from headlights. Ferraris hum down Malaya Brnaya, Lamborghinis idle near Petrovka's boutique windows. Bentleys line up like chess pieces in front of rooftop lounges. This is Russia's billionaire playground, and no one is hiding it. Living here comfortably means earning upwards of $4,000 to $5,000 a month, and many do. Oligarchs, influencers, heirs. They populate the night with designer labels and diamond-lit watches. The wealth isn't subtle. It's sculpted into the skyline, painted onto cars, poured into crystal glasses. Even leisure here is stylized. Hookah lounges are built into car trunks. You'll see a couple parked on a side street, music playing softly, steam rising as they laugh beneath LED stars. On rooftops, parties rage with curated playlists and winter coats that cost more than rent. It's easy to assume this is all about showing off, but in Moscow, wealth isn't a whisper, it's a narrative. A declaration that you've made it in a country where many haven't. And for women, and especially those who embody the Moscow ideal, luxury becomes a kind of language, a way to match the city's grandeur. But under the flash, there's finesse. Style here is learned, elegance is earned, and whether you're rich or just look it, Moscow welcomes the illusion as long as you play it well. And as the money flows, so does the music. Because when the lights dim, the real Moscow nightlife begins. Nightlife in the land of fire and frost. The sun may disappear early in Moscow, but the city never truly sleeps. As evening blankets the skyline, a new rhythm takes hold. Seductive, electric, unpredictable. The streets cool down, but the energy rises. This is where tradition steps aside, and Moscow reveals its wild side. Nightclubs here aren't just venues, they're theaters of excess. Step inside and the cold vanishes, replaced by heavy bass lines, chandeliers flickering like fire, and crowds swaying in a kind of synchronized release. You'll find techno beats colliding with the Slavic melodies, foreign DJs spinning under murals of czars. The past and future collide on the dance floor, but not every party is grand. Street corners host violinists, accordionists, beatboxers, making Moscow feel like an open-air stage. Couples dance in parks, kids freestyle near metro entrances, old men clap in sync with strangers. The nightlife isn't just curated, it's lived. There's an intensity to it, a duality that feels uniquely Russian. The same people who seem stoic by day erupt into motion after dark. It's not chaos, it's controlled combustion, and it's contagious. Whether you're sipping cocktails in a chandelier-lit bar or smoking hookah in a car trunk, one thing's for sure, Moscow at night doesn't just entertain, it transforms. And somewhere in that transformation, something else stirs. Desire, romance, connection. Which brings us to a subject that's as complex as it is captivating. Love, dating, and mystery. Romance in Moscow doesn't play by modern rules. It's not swiped into existence or summed up in emojis. Here, dating still carries a certain weight, a formality, a tradition, a quiet seriousness beneath the flirtation. Russian women expect more than charm. They expect class. Love here isn't casual. It's calculated, deep, and deliberate. Flowers are brought, doors are opened, conversations are layered. Polite at first, then philosophical. It's not about being flashy, it's about being present. That's not to say dating apps don't exist, they do. Tinder, Badoo, and others are popular, but they rarely lead to relationships that matter. In Moscow, connection is still something earned face-to-face. Relationships build slowly, passion runs deep, but it's rarely put on display. Public affection is limited. You won't see grand romantic gestures in the streets, but behind closed doors, the passion is anything but cold. Intimacy is cherished. Commitment is respected. In breakups, they're quiet but heavy. To outsiders, this might feel distant, but to Russians, it's a dance of respect, of resilience, of deep emotional intelligence. The kind that doesn't need to shout to be understood. Because in the city where beauty is expected and mystery is respected, love, like everything else, is both an art and a challenge. Education, youth, and intelligence. If Moscow is the capital of beauty, it's also a capital of brains. Behind the polished faces and elegant coats, there's a generation of women redefining what it means to be attractive. Intelligence here is more than a trait, it's a status symbol. And education is the runway where ambition struts. Moscow is home to 13 major universities, drawing students from across Russia and beyond. These institutions aren't just academic hubs, they're social powerhouses. Young women here chase degrees in law, economics, medicine, and the arts. Their conversations move between Dostoevsky and cryptocurrency, ballet and biotechnology. Beauty gets your attention, but intelligence keeps it. And that blend, it's captivating. You'll meet women fluent in multiple languages who quote Pushkin and run startups, who debate politics over espresso and then dance until sunrise. The old stereotype of beauty without depth simply doesn't apply. Here, you're expected to be both sharp and stylish. This intellectual culture bleeds into the nightlife too. Bars buzz with ideas, parties turn into think tanks, and the same woman who posts a fashion shoot in the morning might be leading a research presentation by noon. In Moscow, being educated isn't just admirable, it's seductive. And in a world that too often separates looks from intellect, Russian women quietly remind us, you don't have to choose. The streets speak culture, music, and expression. Moscow isn't just a city, it's a living, breathing canvas. And nowhere is that more vivid than in its streets. Walk through the city and you'll hear it before you see it. The pulse of culture beating in every square, every corner, every metro underpass. Street musicians are more than background noise. They're storytellers. From solo violinists echoing through Arbat Street to jazz trios beneath Soviet mosaics, the city becomes a concert hall without walls. Locals pause, tourists film, children dance. The music belongs to everyone, elegant and democratic. But sound isn't the only form of expression. Fashion in Moscow walks like poetry, a mix of post-Soviet edge and Parisian finesse. Long coats, sharp silhouettes, bright lips in a sea of snow. Street style here deserves its own museum. And yet, it's worn with nonchalance, as if beauty were just another part of daily life. Weddings often spill into public spaces. Couples pose on bridges, fountains, cathedrals. Laughter floats through the air, alongside drone shots and champagne. Elegance doesn't hide indoors. It walks confidently down cobblestone paths, shared with the entire city. In Moscow, art isn't confined. It leaks from museums onto sidewalks, from stages into parks. And if you stop long enough to listen, you'll realize the culture here doesn't ask for attention. It earns it, one moment at a time. Faith, freedom, and femininity. In most countries, religion draws lines around clothing, behavior, expectations. But in Russia, and especially in Moscow, the lines are softer. Faith is present. Orthodox churches dot the skyline, icons glow in candlelight, but it doesn't govern femininity. Here, women walk freely in whatever they choose. You'll see heels gliding over icy sidewalks, silk skirts beneath fur coats, sheer fabrics paired with red lipstick in sub-zero weather. This isn't rebellion, it's self-definition. A woman's body is hers to adorn, with tradition, with modernity, with meaning. And in Moscow, that freedom is guarded with quiet pride. Orthodox Christianity still shapes values. Family, marriage, legacy, these are held dear, but they coexist with personal autonomy. Women attend services in the morning and rooftop parties at night. They may cross themselves before passing a cathedral, then slip into a designer boutique a block later. The contradiction isn't a conflict. It's a balance. There's no dress code in Moscow's soul, only self-expression. And the result is stunning. You see it in subway cars and gala halls, in university corridors and nightclubs. Femininity here isn't boxed in. It's celebrated in all its forms: elegant, fierce, soft, intellectual, unapologetic. In a world constantly debating what women should be, Moscow responds with a smile and a shrug, as if to say, we've already decided. The metro of dreams, underground palaces. Step underground in Moscow, and you're stepping into a different world, one that's part transportation, part time capsule, and part cathedral. The Moscow metro is more than a subway, it's an experience. Over 160 stations form a network that feels more royal than routine. Marble walls rise like palace corridors, chandeliers sparkle above hurried footsteps. Murals and mosaics celebrate everything from cosmonauts to poets. It's a museum that moves, and it costs less than $1. What's remarkable isn't just the beauty, it's the blend. Elderly women with shopping bags share benches with university students in Balenciaga. Tourists gawk, locals scroll, and above all, life flows, dignified, rhythmic, uninterrupted. The metro reflects Russia's soul, grounded in grandeur, serious about the aesthetic, and deeply proud of its history. Every detail has meaning. Every station tells a story, and even in rush hour, that story whispers beneath the noise. For women, this space is both stage and sanctuary. You see beauty under fluorescent light, unfiltered and real. You see elegance balancing on heels through tunnels. You see style, strength, and self-possession moving between stations like clockwork. In many cities, public transport is something to endure. In Moscow, it's something to admire, because here, even the mundane deserves majesty. Beyond Moscow, beauty and calm in the provinces. Moscow may be the stage, but Russia's soul extends far beyond its capital, and so does its beauty, both in landscape and in lifestyle. Travel just a few hours out, and you enter a quieter, more poetic version of the same national pride. St. Petersburg greets you with European elegance. Canals like Venice, palaces like Paris, and a cultural rhythm that flows at its own serene pace. The women here are just as graceful, but the energy is softer. You'll find artists in cafes, ballerinas crossing the street, and smiles that linger longer. In Kazan, Russia's Muslim and Orthodox worlds meet, a rich mosaic of heritage, language, and style. Women here blend tradition and trend, modesty and magnetism, creating looks and attitudes that defy categorization. And then there's Vladimir, a city for those who choose calm over chaos. With pastel buildings, wide skies, and space to breathe, it attracts women who want the elegance of Russian life without the noise of Moscow's rush. Every city offers a different tempo, but the grace, intelligence, and self-respect of Russian women, that travels with them. From capital catwalks to countryside walks, it's not just a look, it's a legacy. The truth behind the glamour. For all the sparkle, Russia is not a fantasy, it's real. Sometimes difficult, sometimes dazzling. Political shadows linger, global perceptions fluctuate, and yet life here continues with unshakable rhythm and pride. Russian women especially embody that balance. They are not just admired for their looks, they are respected for their strength, for thriving in a land of paradox, where winter bites hard and society demands much, where beauty is expected, but so is grit. High tobacco use is common. Mental pressure is real. Social expectations can be heavy, yet still there's laughter in the streets, elegance on the trains, and joy in the smallest moments. People dance in the cold, they pose in the snow, they live. That's the truth behind the glamour. Russia isn't trying to be perfect, it's trying to endure gracefully. And its women, they carry that legacy in every step, every look, every word. In the end, Russian beauty isn't just aesthetic, it's emotional, it's historical, it's lived. And in a world constantly searching for authenticity, Russia reminds us, what's real doesn't need to be loud, just unforgettable.